judge, in all my life, I have never, ever heard him say anything, let's say, degrading about anybody more than they were malcontents. Malcontents, Scrippy, they are malcontents. When I was very small, when we lived there, we lived there from 1949 until 59. I think it was about 1956. So during that time, it was more for self-government rather than independence. And I remember standing on the wicker chair. He had an old wicker chair. And Mr. Reen Rodon would come, Mr. Eddie Austin, Mr. Nick Pollard, Johnny Smith, and they would come for meetings every evening. And the meetings were held around the little old table that he had there. And I would stand on the back of the chair and just listen to them.
Enrique de Paz has resigned. He was the representative of the PUP in Cayo. He was for the whole district. So he said, I want you to take it over. 23 years old, you know.
The very first election, post-independent election in Belize, 1984, I was approached and sought after by two very prominent PUP, late Mr. Joey Irales, Mr. Jose, and late Mr. Desmond Vaughn, to run in the Mesopotamia division.
I said, well, I will try. I said, because I don't know. I am a sportsman in Cayo.
And so Brad Patico, my cousin, Brad and I are cousins, and we went to then Premier George Price's office. I didn't know anything about he was the Minister of Broadcasting and what have you. All I knew of George Price up until that time was that he was the Premier of Belize, that I had a picture of him. I have a picture, an old blue and white picture of him that I had in my room in Honduras. I had it in my bedroom, and I had it tucked on the wall over my bed.
By December, the governor called an election of town councils and city council to see what Mr. Price had with him, what power, what strength he had. That was 58. Well, the elections were held in December 27th, and we won every municipality.
I didn't come from a political family, nor did I know anything about the political culture of Belize. And I was being sought after to do this. Now, also looking at the history, I didn't have the cut or the stature in terms of the maturity of the 5 women who had gone before me.
So now I'm going to meet this great George Price, who I looked at from a little kid growing up. You know, finally, I'm all fearful and everything. Brad went with me, Brad Patico. He stayed outside, and I went inside and had this audience with the Premier. And it went something like this. Premier, I would like a job in the building of the new Belizean nation.
Mr. Price embraced me, nurtured me in his party, and I ran for that election. 7 weeks in the call before the election day.
He said, what were you doing in Honduras? I said, well, I was working at this little radio station, La Voz del Atlántico. Still am. You know, I'm on holiday, you know, and then he says, what? Oh, Radio Belize need a temporary Spanish continuity announcer. You think you could handle that? I said, Premier, I'm a technical operator there. I do some announcing, but I cannot meet the Radio Belize standard because at that time, Radio Belize announcers were trained at the BBC in London and they spoke posh English, so, you know. So I said, no, I could do it. I'm a good technician. And he said, listen, man, that's all I got to offer you, man. That's all I could offer you at this time, no?
So I saw where he was coming from, because what he was saying, run this election. You belong as a young person, as a mother, and to me, I looked at it as a young black woman at 1984. There was this party and the leader embracing me, that I have a right, my group, in being out there, my community grouping, whether Creole, whether Garifuna, had a right to be leader, had a right to be called to this position.
One day, me and him going down in York and Madame Lizaraga, we're going to inaugurate the Bandak Tire thing from El Despero. We're going, and suddenly, we, by mile 14 going past Ladyville, there you saw about 10 men standing. So he went to say, what happened, man? He said, you see, sir? He said, the truck bring the cement. He said, look where they left it. About just about 100 feet away. So that's how you know the work, no? He said, yes, sir. He said, we wait for truck for come back. I said, yeah. I said, come, minister, let's go with me. We gone to the pile of cement and he pick up one bag of cement, no? Put it on pretty nice wire. He said, minister, pick up one too. Well, bitch, I had to struggle for pick up one. And we come. As he get to the crowd, everybody run for go back, and they brought the cement. And we gone. I said to myself, what an astute man they.
He said you have to be like Ramsey Mule. He said you put on your blinders, he said, and you focus. You know what you want and you do that. He said, if not, the mule have eyes to the side, he said, and he gets distracted and he won't be able to go straight. So you put on your blinders like Ramsey Mule and keep going.
Radio Belize did programs every morning like Wake Up Belize, Wake Up and Work. And that was on direct instructions from Mr. Price. And each Wake Up Belize, Wake Up and Work, which I had the opportunity of presenting myself later on as my English improved, you know, we'd have an excerpt in there from the premier. There he would address Belizeans and talk about independence.
The independence of Belize demands a flag, a name for the country, an anthem. It demands the finances to pay for the apparatus of a modern independent state. It also demands an effective and sustained expansion in the productive capacity of the economy. This alone will make possible a continued improvement in living standards and employment levels.
I was called here to a meeting by the leaders of government. That happens regularly with heads of departments to explain things. And I went to Belmopan for that meeting. Mr. Price was in that meeting. They were all men. And that's even up to now. Our political leadership is 90-something% male in terms of people who run for election. I'm not talking about heads of department and I'm not talking about CEOs who are appointed and so on, who walk that ground day to day. So I was in there as chief elections officer and invited, and we had a robust discussion and question and answer and so on. And after about an hour was finished and I was dismissed, and leaving, I stood my ground in the meetings, of course. That's just me. And on leaving, I was feeling a little bit disappointed.
He said, I want you to read every day Psalm 51 and 140. Every day you must read that because those are the Psalms for a leader. Okay? So he showed me them. 51 is cleanse my heart, O God. Create in me a new heart, O God. That's 51. And 140 was the protection of the leader from his enemies. And I've never forgotten it. I can't tell you that I read it every day. But every so often, I would pick up the Bible and read 51 and 140.
So I went through the door I came in and into the corridor. I didn't know there was another door. I just heard a voice coming joining me in the corridor. Chief Elections Officer, Miss Myrtle. It was Mr. Price. Of course, you know his voice even without turning around. And he said, he didn't ask me anything, but said, you did very well in here. No, I want you to go right back to your office and do what you're doing. Continue the work. That was deep, what he did to me in that corridor. That was deep and remained with me throughout my public service career. And even up to now, in anything that I pick up and choose to pick up and do.